going to be having some Battlefield 4 Rush gameplay. This is one of the last games of Rush that I ever recorded on Battlefield 4, so hope you guys enjoy that. And I'm not going to be having any Battlefield 6 gameplay, because I do not own that game. So today I wanted to talk about why Battlefield 6 sucks now. Where do I even start with this game, man? I knew the game would be a failure when I played the open beta back in August. I just knew that the game was doomed when I hopped on my first match and noticed that all the maps were so small and it felt like a meat grinder. It honestly felt like I was playing Call of Duty again. The worst part was that the game felt like I was playing Modern Warfare 2019, which is not a bad game, in my opinion. In my opinion, that was the last good Call of Duty game we ever had. But Battlefield 6 looks so similar to Modern Warfare 2019. It's insane. While playing the beta, the thing that annoyed me about Battlefield 6 was that there were no big maps in the beta. The biggest map we got from the beta was Liberation Peak, and even then, compared to previous Battlefield games, the map still felt small, which is a big problem since the Battlefield series is known for big maps with a sandbox experience. Battlefield 6 pissed me off so much during the beta that I only played like 2 games, I think. I can't remember honestly, but I closed the game, uninstalled it, and ended up playing Battlefield 4. When I went back to Battlefield 4, it felt so much better than Battlefield 6. While I was in the game, people in chat were discussing how they felt about the Battlefield 6 beta. Almost everyone in chat agreed that the maps are too small and there needs to be more variety of maps, or else the game is not going to be good when it launches in October. Back in October, I was thinking about buying Battlefield 6 to make content about it, but I decided not to buy the game since it was $70 and I knew I was going to play it for maybe a couple of months, then quit the game entirely. Everyone online was debating if this game was going to be Call of Duty in sales. I have to give EA credit. They made Battlefield 6 the best-selling game of 2025. Battlefield 6 sold over 20 million copies, generating over $1.4 billion in revenue. This game outsold Call of Duty by 13 million copies, which is just insane to think about. The worst decision EA made was making Battlefield 6 a live service game. We were going to get seasonal updates, battle passes, and RedSec. In my opinion, Battlefield 6 should have brought back the Premium Pass model from the old Battlefield games. Even though the Premium Pass split the player base, gamers knew we were going to get new maps, guns, and game modes. The Premium Pass worked really well. You only paid for it once and were guaranteed to get content during the game's life cycle. I will give credit to the developers. I had no problem running Battlefield 6 on my computer. I thought my 3060 Ti was gonna catch on fire and it wouldn't be able to run this game. But I got good performance and FPS without DLSS or upscaling, so that's pretty cool. Battlefield 6 had a successful launch with no bugs or game crashes, which is a good thing since Battlefield launches are known for really bad launches. I'm looking at you, 2042. When the game first launched, people were dick riding this game and praising EA for making a mediocre Battlefield game. I knew deep down that once the honeymoon period of this game was over, people were going to start making videos on YouTube on how garbage the game really was. 3 months after launch, Battlefield 6 lost over 90% of its player base, which is just sad. It's not even funny how much they fumbled the bag with this game. EA had a strong start, but they couldn't keep a consistent player count. Players were frustrated with the game since EA promised us more content, bigger maps, and guns. Instead, we got more microtransaction skins for soldiers that no one cares about. Let's be honest. In today's day and age, publishers need to realize that people's attention spans are worse than at any time in human history. If EA doesn't give the players what they want, then people are just going to move on to games that are more fun, like Arc Raiders, for example. So for those of you who didn't know, the developers who made Arc Raiders, who work for Embark Studios, were the original DICE developers who made Battlefield 3, Battlefield 4, and Battlefield 1. Before Battlefield 6 was released, a former DICE employee on Twitter, or X, if you want to call it that, quote, "After DICE imploded, 98% of the people who worked on previous Battlefield titles left Electronic Arts. They assured that the game would take a different direction from what players were used to, as EA wanted to extract maximum revenue from their players and drive up shareholder value. That EA's new goal was to release a new Battlefield game every year with the limited single player content different seasons, a battle pass, and a Warzone-like mode turning Battlefield into a live service game. Furthermore, I am very happy for Embark Studios for having more players and arc raiders than Battlefield 6. The fact that a AA company who doesn't have millions of dollars made a better game is simply sad. I don't want to hear any excuses from EA claiming they don't have enough resources. They definitely had more than millions of dollars to pour into Battlefield 6. That is just nonsense. They could have invested more money into Battlefield 6, but they decided not to. This is karma for EA. This is what they get for treating their former employees who made their company a lot of money like shit, and also the current employees who work at this company. Battlefield 6 has many problems that DICE is not fixing. Battlefield players are experiencing poor netcode, no new content, Call of Duty maps, and poor hit reg, which is hit registration, and too much focus on RedSec. People on social media are coping, saying that they can still find matches in different game modes, so technically the game is not dead, and the numbers for this game don't really matter. People online are either shilling for EA or coping, thinking that this game is as good as it was during launch. Even big YouTubers like Jack Frags, Stoda, Blame Truth, and Westy, just to name a couple of people, are calling out EA for making the same mistakes that they made with Battlefield 5 in 2042. Now I want to talk about RedSec. To this day, I will never understand the whole battle royale genre. It is one of the worst things that has ever happened to gaming. Companies nowadays want to just copy Fortnite's business model. I blame Fortnite and streamers for the most part, since Epic Games is responsible for many of my favorite franchises adding a battle royale mode, like Call of Duty, Battlefield, and CSGO, which I will never understand to this day why CSGO added a battle royale mode. It's one of the worst decisions Valve has ever made. These companies don't understand that when I play Battlefield, I want to play a Battlefield game, not a shitty battle royale. Same goes for CSGO and Call of Duty. Did EA not learn from their mistakes when they decided to make a battle royale for Battlefield 5, which was called Firestorm? Firestorm was a pathetic attempt from EA to make a battle royale that wasn't free to play. Instead, you had to buy Battlefield 5 just to play that game mode. Now, streamers have been a big problem in gaming. I hate the fact that these big companies will make changes to their game just to please the streamers. Most big streamers on Twitch, Kick, YouTube, and Rumble don't even play Battlefield. Most of them just play Call of Duty or Fortnite or whatever is trending at the moment. I still remember watching a clip of XQC trying to take out a tank with an assault rifle. That's how you can tell most of these famous streamers never played a Battlefield game in their entire life. Call of Duty has plagued so many gamers' minds that they genuinely want every game just to be like Call of Duty or similar to it. At the end of the day, these companies need to stop listening to these streamers because Tim the Tatman and XQC are not Battlefield fans. These are the same people that will stop playing the game if their viewership drops. Streamers don't know what makes a Battlefield game good. EA needs to start listening to the Battlefield fan base, or else this game is going to lose more players as time goes on. You can only fuck people over so many times. Sooner or later, this franchise is going to be dead. EA needs to start listening to the Battlefield fans who actually care about this franchise and want it to succeed. If EA doesn't want to listen to the fans, then I urge all of you to stop playing the game. That's the only way this company is going to realize how shit this game really is. This game was the last chance EA had to make a good Battlefield game. Now that Saudi Arabia owns EA, which if you guys didn't know, EA sold its company to Saudi Arabia, which is one of the worst decisions EA has ever made. I'm not going to get into the politics about why I hate Saudi Arabia, but just know that this country violates human rights. If you don't believe me, just look it up. In September of 2025, EA announces an agreement to be acquired by PIF, Silver Lake, and Affinity Partners for $55 billion. This means that 93.4% of the company is owned by Saudi Arabia. Even though the Saudis own 93.4% of the company, EA said they will have creative control over their new owners. So this means that EA will still have creative control over their big franchises, which are the sports games, Battlefield, and other IPs that EA owns. The problem I have with EA selling most of its company to the Saudis is that EA still has to please the Saudis. If EA doesn't give the Saudis what they want in their games, the Saudis are going to make them put stuff in the game, even if EA doesn't want to. Look at WWE, for example. The female wrestlers are forced to dress modestly in Saudi Arabia, and they're responsible for paying for their own attire. You don't think that at some point the Saudis are gonna force EA to implement stuff in their game? Come on guys, let's be real here. The Saudis basically control EA now. It makes me sad because I got into Battlefield 4 very late, but man was it fun while it lasted. I'm not even joking when I say this. When I first started playing Battlefield 4 in 2024, in September of 2024, during the weekends, Battlefield 4 had over 10 full servers of people. Motherfuckers were willing to wait in a queue just to play Battlefield 4. That's how you know a game is good, when people are willing to wait just to join a match in a 13-year-old game. And I just wanted to say that there is no excuse for Battlefield 6 being a horrible game at all. EA had over 4 years to make this game, and it's probably the longest the Battlefield game has ever been developed. Because if you go back and you look at when Battlefield 3 released, to Battlefield 4, to Battlefield Hardline, and to Battlefield 1, they only had like maybe 2 years to make those games. So there are no excuses at all. And also I wanted to mention that Battlefield 4 was not only made on the new generation of consoles and on PC, it was also made on the old generation of consoles. So I can understand why DICE didn't have enough time to polish Battlefield 4 when it first released in 2013. I had just a little bit of hope that EA was going to make a good first-person shooter game. For a long time, players have been craving a good modern first-person shooter. Battlefield 6 was the last hope for the first-person shooter genre. But what do you guys think? Do you guys agree with everything I said in this video? Let me know, and I hope you guys enjoyed this rant on Battlefield 6. I had to let this out, and peace out.